Welcome to Social Chats. My name is Heather, and today I have a very good friend that will be joining us in just a minute. But first of all, what is Social Chats? This is a show that Catherine and I have passionately put together a few years ago in order to help small businesses and real estate agents manage their way through the ever-changing jungle of social media, marketing your business, and networking. And we do this by going out and finding people that are leading their industry, and we asked them if they would come on our show and share with you the tips and tricks behind what is making them so successful. If you think you would be a valuable guest on our show, we would love to hear from you. Now, this is a live stream. It is kind of like evergreen, which means it will live on our Facebook business page after the interview process is over and done. We take these interviews, we download them, we upload them to our YouTube channel, and we share them out on all our different social networks. So you can always ask your questions, even if you are watching the replay. And by all means, during the show, ask your questions as well. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to invite and share with you a friend of mine for many, many years. In fact, our guest today has been on Social Chats before. Now, he has taken his business online and is one of the top Canadian real estate educators there is today. He has taught thousands of realtors every month now online, and it is such a pleasure to have the new and fresh and improved Gerry Halstrom joining us here on Social Chats. Gerry, hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heather. Well, first of all, thank you for that it's eloquent. There's the word of the day, that eloquent introduction. I'm going to send that to my mom, bless her soul. Thank you so much. It is wonderful seeing you online, and I'm privileged and honored to be here with you and your very large audience. And before I get going, I mean, you and I and our respective teams have had a huge adventure over the last 5 months, and I do want to, really acknowledge the amazing work that you and Catherine have done. We've been following you. You're big fans. We're big fans of you, and we actually learn from you and apply some of the stuff you've taught. And so, it's great to be online with you. And, as you said in the prelude, we changed our business model 100% in March of this last year. I was about to get on an airplane because I work, as many of you know, in both Ontario, where I'm here today, and British Columbia. And I was about to board a plane in March and got a call from Vancouver Real Estate Board that said, don't get on the plane. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I might not have come back. I would have been in British Columbia, and my wife would have been here in Ontario, and it would have been a long drive and commute to say hello. In any event, so long story made short, and I really want to try and share our journey with you and your listeners and your audience today. So we went from being 100% live based, both in my real estate career as a project marketing expert, and as well in our education side. So we went from 100% live to 100% online. And I will tell you right now, I don't think that my business model will go back to a live model. I mean, obviously we'll cross over from time to time, but the majority of our education and the majority of what I'm doing right now in the project marketing world is now all online. But boy, it's been a learning curve, and looking forward to sharing some of that with you and your learners in our short time today.
Absolutely, Gerry. I know 100%. Catherine and I created an online course 2 years ago, and it just went nowhere. So we redid everything just like you did. And I know the amount of work that you have done to get your courses online today. And you had no choice. And I wonder, I will ask you this, what is happening in the real estate industry when it comes to educating the realtors today, based on the fact that we are not doing in-person teaching, live teaching any longer?
Yeah, I think there's a huge learning curve in the entire industry that I've been plugged into in primarily British Columbia, but as well across the country. I think there's a huge tooling and retooling within the educational side. I've talked to a couple of university deans and people who are close to me, and we're all going through a giant learning curve, which is how do we take our learning experience from live and move it over to online and have it be as good or better. And that's really our mission now, because when we started, if you remember back in March, April, it was like, we have to survive. We're just trying to get through this. We're trying to graduate students, but now the focus is really, okay, how do we make this equal to or better than? And obviously there's some people who are, I think, further ahead on that learning curve than others. The big thing for myself, and I'll probably share the number one thing I've learned in the last 5 or 6 months, and that is the online environment works better for interpersonal education and application than the classroom. And we're writing a course right now for the fall on teaching, presenting, and promoting on online platforms like Zoom. And so we're working with some psychologists, behavioral change people, as well as some people in the education sector. And there's no question, in my opinion, both personally from what I've experienced in 5 months and also from the other experts we're working with, is if it's done correctly, then we have as good or better learning experience, specifically in the area of personal change, personal application. And so this is where a lot of the education has to be changed. And so we might have the same curriculum, but we need to think about less, hey, how are we doing, everybody? You know, you and I would teach sometimes to 50 to 100 or sometimes larger audiences if we were a convention. So it's not, hey, everybody, how are you doing? It's, hey, Heather, how are you doing today? Today, I'm going to talk about how you can take your business from where it is to the next level. And then what I might do, I might focus you on the next level goals. So who knows, let's take your social media where you guys excel. I might say, okay, where is your social media now? As you know, we do a lot of rating. One of the things we study is the medical professions and say, okay, what we want to do is rate somebody now and then have them have a goal and then rate them at the end of that particular time. So I might say, rate your social media efforts for in the last, say, 3 weeks. You'd get a score. And then I would start working with you to saying, okay, how do we do the next now? Now, this is actually your show, not mine, but we'd be working in our areas for things like marketing presentations, seminars online and stuff like that, and bringing the clients forward. And so really it's about the individual's interpersonal goal and their personal journey rather than the classroom chit chat. And the classroom's excellent. I love it. But there is, if you think about a classroom, there's a lot of distractions. And you lived in Whistler, now Vancouver Island. I used to, when I'm in Vancouver, I would be in Lions Bay. It takes me an hour to get into the downtown core area. For me to do a session at the Vancouver Real Estate Board, huge clients of both of ours, you know, I would have to leave at 6:30 for a 9:30 start to a seminar. And so we started looking at that, not the time, but the energy that I would have to take as a participant. So instead of having to have that 2 hour before and 2 hour after, I can show up fresh and I can actually take an interpersonal focused course. And that's the big learning environment that we're having to go from now. And I think it's, you know, we're probably, we know now more than we knew in March, but we're still on a huge learning curve. But that would be the number one thing I've learned for our students.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree. Oddly enough, when we were teaching at the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board a couple of months ago online, our classes were 250 capped and we had 250 students. But it was so cool that you could actually talk with them and chat with them and answer their questions. And it really felt intimate. Whereas in the classroom, we might only have 70 people. So it was completely different and it was really exciting. And yeah, so I completely understand what you're talking about. The other thing that you said, Gerry, which I watched your videos this morning. You guys have to watch Gerry's YouTube channel. He's got a lot of 1 and 2 minute videos giving you little sneak peeks into some of his online courses, but also with some valuable little tips. And you just mentioned—
Somebody taught us how to do that, named Heather.
Well, you talked this morning just recently now about energy. And I love that. The fact that you would have to do so much preparation to get to that classroom, especially in a big city, and that does consume a lot of your energy. On that token, when we're talking about technology and preparing yourself and everything that's happened in the last 4 or 5 months, there are real estate agents that have really embraced the new technology, so to speak, even though it's not new, but they are using it now. So what type of advantage do you think these real estate agents have that are tech savvy?
Well, it's so important that we share this to the audience, because I don't want to sound dismissive on some of the traditional type real estate people. And I'm not talking about age. I'm just saying of the people who've been used to a face-to-face type of situation. Absolutely. In my practice with all the students we've found, that those agents who have embraced the technology, learned how to use the technology and how to apply it in your word, an intimate and personal setting with the clients, have really excelled. And their business has generated more income and is more market share during that period of time. And so many of us have had to change the way we've done business. And so instead of having the first introductory session, if you were my client, get a cup of coffee at a coffee shop or your home or my office, we've had to turn that into a Zoom conference, much better than a phone conference. And frankly, I'm seeing some resistance with some of our students to say, I don't like this. I prefer to go. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine who I kind of kicked in where, who said, I want to try and get this client in front of me. And I said, this client is a multi-million-dollar whale client. And as you know, I do a little bit of work in how to catch whale clients because it's been my background in project marketing. We look for whale clients. And I said, you're not going to get the whale to meet you during COVID at a coffee shop, and you have no idea who this person is, and they have no idea who you are. I said, you don't want to get them on the phone. It'll be a waste of time. You get that person on a Zoom conference. And I said, and my friend, what I'm looking at right now on a Zoom conference is not good enough. You're going to need to have a decent microphone, professional grade Yeti, $200. You're going to have decent lighting, spend some time on your backdrop. I don't want to see your bedroom. You're going to have to look all pro. And then what you can do is you could have a chance at harvesting that 10-minute conversation on Zoom and then get into the transaction. And so whether we're dealing with sellers, whether we're dealing with buyers, the realtors that I've seen successful are turning that on their heads, and they're saying, let's start with the transaction digitally. Let's view the property. Let's have our interviews. Let me take you through the checklists. I mean, these are all the things we teach in all of our programs. Very, very structured sales process. Not heavy closing, just facilitation. And what I want to see realtors doing is embracing the technology and then saying, if you're my client, I say, well, at what time do you think we need to get together, Heather? Because if you'd like, I can jump on a plane and head over to the Vancouver Island and meet you for dinner tomorrow night and chat about your millions of dollars of real estate.
Absolutely. This morning, Jerry, I listened to a podcast called The Walkthrough, and they were talking about the statistics. Now, these are American statistics, but they cannot be that far off from Canadian. And when it comes to real estate, 42% of sellers today do not want anyone through their home until they have been pre-approved for financing, that they have washed their hands, sanitized their hands, put on booties, that they're pre-qualified as a buyer, and they've watched the virtual tour of the property before they come through the home.
Yeah, and if a realtor today would just take what you just said and do it, because it made no sense to me. And as many of you know, I've been a very, very strong listing agent, which is how I got into project marketing. But why would you as a seller allow strangers in your home, unqualified, possibly even unrepresented by anybody that you or your listing agent knows? Like frankly, it's made no sense to me for many, many years. So today, if you're a seller, yes, get on the market, do all the work. It's going to cost us more money with videos, absolutely. But what we're going to do is we're going to get qualified buyers, pre-qualified with great realtors, sometimes even pre-negotiating the contracts before they even see your property. This place we actually purchased as an investment here, we didn't need to see it. We saw all the pictures and made an offer subject to viewing. Sellers thought that was great, and away we went. So we're seeing that style, and I think the realtors, back to your question, who embrace this, who will just accept it and spend the time to get good at it, will flourish. But those who are resisting it, I think there's going to be a huge churn in the marketplace, and it's not going to be pretty for those who are resisting this change. And I think what we've seen in Canada in the last little while, notwithstanding what we talk about in the United States, but I don't think COVID is going to be something that will be over soon. And what's interesting, I'm working with an architectural firm on a very large luxury project in West Vancouver right now, and we're just getting going in the architectural. And this architectural firm said, we want to bring healthy building to the forefront. And it was a really interesting concept, because they were thinking that, well, not only do we have to change the way we're presenting and doing business, but we also might have to change the way we're designing buildings. And it's going to be a fascinating journey, and it's one that I'm real proud we've got going on. And You know, we're looking in the project marketing as being pretty much virtual now because you're buying a pre-sale. You might walk on the soil, but I need to be able to sell you. And I've been teaching this the project marketing courses for years. I need to say, I need to sell Heather this property virtually. And up until now, many residential real estate agents have been fighting that. And I would say you better embrace it, because if you can't sell it without them showing up, at least get them to a conditional offer. Then I think you're missing the boat.
100% again. I am working also with a buyer right now on a commercial property that their whole design concept for what they're doing is open outdoor living space. And with the COVID-19 and everything that people are feeling, all of that is going into their business plan for their business license. I've also been working with several real estate agents that have completely embraced technology, Zoom conferencing and video for their listings. And both these agents that I have in my mind right now are killing it with selling and getting listings. And I know that they must be sitting down at presentations and taking out of their toolbox and saying, look, this is what we do. And here are some examples of our previous homes that have sold. And these are the steps that we took. One of my agents in Toronto, he actually has a whole setup outside the door of the property where you put on the booties, you put on the gloves, you put on the mask, and before you put everything on, you sanitize before you go into the home. He prepares the property before the buyer opens the door. So they don't open cupboards, they don't open doors, and they just walk through the property and out the door they go. So well, yes, you're right.
Well, and one of the things we talk a lot about in some of our work with business people, not only in the real estate area, but is disqualifying data or disqualifying practice. And I would put it to you that if you don't have this ability to do business in this area that we're talking about, that you will be disqualified from many sellers and many buyers' doors, because they're going to say, well, you know what, you got to get with it. I'm not doing it that way. The other thing that I had a conversation with a fairly high-end individual, not to be disclosed in the public forum, but one of the things that I talked about with one of our experts as we are getting into this education for the fall about presenting and teaching online, but someone said that this, quote, the consumer's behavior is changing faster than the industry's behavior. And that to me, it really registered, because we've been doing so much education online. And frankly, yes, we've had some resistance from some of our traditional real estate agents going, it'll come back. And but when the consumer's behavior is adapting faster than the industry, we've got a problem for many of the industry, but B, we've got a huge opportunity to take market share for those who are actually jumping on it.
Exactly. Yeah, it is not business as usual. And that's why it was so hard to purchase selfie sticks, tripods, speakers, mics. I mean, there came a time just a few months ago where Amazon was sold out of everything.
Yep. Yeah, I was fortunate to have everything all ready to go, and you know, it doesn't need to be high end. I mean, probably to me, the microphone is probably the single most important thing to have, because the rest of that can be dealt with lighting and cameras and backdrops. But your microphone to me is absolutely the central piece of your presentation tools.
Yes, and because I'm inside today, I chose not to use any microphones at all. However, I have opened my door to outside, and my husband just came in from fishing and caught quite a big fish. The eagles are down on the beach. If I just turn my...
Oh my goodness. Eagles and fishing. Now you're making me jealous, because while I have beach and all that, I do not have eagles and fishing. And you know how I feel about salmon fishing. So give your husband a high five for me, especially if it was a good one.
You'll see it on Facebook. He puts everything on Facebook.
Oh, there you go.
That's the other thing I should mention as well. When it comes to real estate and social media, I watched it wasn't like a TED Talk. It was Royal LePage actually did a conference, and one of their speakers was one of their agents that moved to Nova Scotia and knew nobody and didn't know how to get a real estate business going. And she chose Facebook and Instagram, and she just talked about everything she was doing. And before she knew it, she was really getting busy because if she did a home inspection, she talked about it. So it made her look busy. And, it's just like in the old days, Jerry. I do believe we have to combine the two of the way we used to do business and the way we do business today. But being busy breeds business. And
and case study, and this is where your teaching system, social media is so important, is that so social media allows us to have immediacy and case study and make it not just sort of boring and for everybody. I mean, we all have to go to school. This thing is changing. I do want to give you in our time the other thing that's really worked for our students, and it's not easy for some people. But we've had a number of our graduates from our program, the 20% that's out there, where we talk a lot about presenting and building out. We've had a number of our students successfully conduct their own independent, personal, first-time buyer and or first-time investor seminars. And of course, it's what you and I use every day. We have them create an Eventbrite account, which is free. We have them use their social media account, which is free. We have them sprinkle a little bit of money into it and geo-target it and send it to their clients by CRM. And we have typically with our students, and I did a couple of them just for myself as a trial run, using myself as a crash test dummy. But we found that traditionally there were 20 to 30 people who will show up online, take the seminar. We find that the conversion or the actually attendees versus registrations are really high. And we found that pretty much every time one of our students does one of these, including stuff I've done, we end up getting between 4 and 6 highly qualified now buyers. And in many times they're brand new clients. So we're talking about brand new client acquisition. Now, for the new realtor at this area to put all this together is going to be a bit difficult. But if you can pull it together and not worry too much about your first couple of tries, it's been astounding how many new clients have been acquired through some of these techniques. And you and Catherine are one of the forerunners of sort of having people think that way. But that was when we started doing this, we just got knocked out with how many clients were showing up, because I had, as you've heard us live, we say, hey, have these events. Have client events, have first-time buyers events, investor events. And then COVID came and everybody said, well, what do I do now, Jerry? And I went, well, I guess you might turn it into a seminar online. It's not like I don't do that. In any event, we've been teaching people to do that, and it works like a hot, you know what?
We taught that in our class yesterday on Facebook under events.
I'm sure you did, yeah.
The Zoom first-time buyers seminar or selling property seminar. Yeah, so I agree 100%. I find it so exciting. And the agents that, even when the ones that we're working with, bless their soul, that are not tech savvy, they are trying and they are going to do these things. And it's just time on task. The more we do live Facebook shows like we're doing right now, the better we'll get. Well, we have problems, always. Internet will go down, mics won't work, things will go funky. It's just part of the territory.
Yeah, it's a huge learning curve. And, I'm long since retired from the music business, but as you know, I spent 25 years in addition to my real estate world as a professional musician. And one of my first sort of agents said this: you got to get the show on the road, Jer. Can't keep playing in your basement. You got to get out and start playing live gigs. And you'll make a fool of yourself. You'll trip over the microphone, and your stuff won't be very good, but you'll learn faster by actually doing it live. And we're sure in that area now. And that's what a few of our students have said. It was one of my favorite friends said, I was horrible. The show was horrible. Everything was awful. I'm embarrassed. But for some reason, the audience liked it.
That's great. Jerry, I was on your website quite a few times, of course, as just doing a little research. I wanted to sign up for your negotiating course. I wanted to ask you, and then I noticed you've got 2 really awesome courses that are coming up. Would you mind telling everyone a little bit about what you're up to in the last few minutes?
Yeah, actually, we're this fall we're sort of having 3 real good pushes. One is for the biggest body work that I've created in my life, which is the 20% that's out there, which is 10 separate 1.5 hour sessions. We've put through 150 students through that program this summer. It's working better online than it was live. And that's a real strong look at marketing and behavioral change and setting your business up for long-term success. And in that, we cover branding, negotiating, presenting, and it's really a very full piece of work. The other thing we'll have this August as well is in September is we have our Back to Basics tour, which was we had a lot of people saying, Jerry, let's get back to basics. And so we put together the language of sales. We looked at winning listing presentations. We looked at looking like $1 million on a small budget. And a little bit of branding, and we put that together, and so that's actually 4 sessions that are 1 hour, and then we'll have a couple of investment seminars. We have a lot of people. Of course, one of the areas that I've worked with and with some leading Canadian realtors as well as the investment real estate sector. We'll have an investor real estate sector masterclass. And then we'll definitely have in September, which will be open for realtors as well as academics. We probably have a lot of people coming from the institutional learning environment for our presenting, teaching, and marketing on Zoom. And you and I may have you guys give us a bit of a hand for some of that, because some of that is smack dab in your area. So we'll be chatting about that over the next week or so between fishes and water skiing.
Absolutely. Jerry, I'm going to put all of the links so people can get to your website.
That would be great.
Right link in. I will do my best to have this up on YouTube by the end of today, and I'll get a blog out by tomorrow. So we can try to help promote these courses. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to be one of your students. I'm looking forward to it.
You get a VIP class, a VIP pass, and a front row seat.
Thank you. It has been a wonderful 30 minutes with you, Jerry. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Good luck in Ontario. Stay safe, and a big hello to your beautiful wife.
Thank you, Heather. All my best, and I look forward to. The fish is bothering me. The fish story is the biggest thing I need to get back for British Columbia. Is forget the business, forget the real estate development and seminars. I got to get fishing. It's killing me.
I gotta say this before we go. Weeks ago.
Yeah, we have some really good fishing in Lake Erie where we're at. We're a block off the lake and a block off the canal. And we do have some of the best fishing in the lakes right here. But when I look at the fish that they're catching, they're nice little fish like this. And then I think that just doesn't, I'm a West Coaster. It doesn't compare to a 20-pound salmon on the fly, which is what I like to do. So
Norm's was 28 pounds this morning.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, that'll be some good eating.
Yes, it will. Jerry, you have a fantastic summer. I look forward to signing up to your class, and we will see you shortly then.
Thanks, Heather. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Remember, everyone, let's keep it simple.